welcome in Charles Schwab Challenge live chat. It's a Wednesday. As much as I love being on the road and being out there, it is always good to be home. It's always good to have my normal setup with all my screens and all my stuff and not have to worry about this coming from a laptop or hotel Wi-Fi or anything like that. So very, very cool to be back, ready to rock and roll. This hour or so, this is your time. Whatever you want to talk about, it's entirely up to you. Generally, the conversations revolve around data-driven research towards players, the course statistics, one and done, bets to be made, all that fun stuff. Whatever you want to fire away, throw it into the chat right now. I already see that there is a bunch of stuff, so let's not waste any more time. Zach says, balance build or stars and scrubs this week? The site that I show you will be my website, RickRunGood.com, and I believe it is probably more of a stars and scrubs approach this week, not only because there is a pretty top-heavy field, right? You've got Scotty Scheffler, Tony Finau, Victor Hovland, Collin Morikawa. I'll throw Max Homa and Jordan Spieth into the mix. You look at the betting odds. This is Odds Checker. It's a grid that shows you the best odds available, so you can check that out. I think there's a pretty significant drop-off from basically the top 6 or so to everybody else. I would actually include Homa in there, so maybe it's top 7 or so. So that's part one of why I think it's stars and scrubs, because you can try to go get like 2 of these guys who eat up a vast majority of the win equity. But the other thing is, I think there's some pretty good lower price or mispriced options. We can dive into Dylan Wu at 6,600. We can dive into Carson Young at 6,300, who I think is pretty mispriced. And I thought there was one more. Where's Matt Neesmith? 60. Am I going crazy? How much is Matt Neesmith? Oh, here he is, $7,100. So like, I think you can get around building a pretty good team with those. So all of that considered, I think it's a stars and scrubs type build. Hey, Rick, I'm just in the money in the run and done. Should I pick Rose or Fleetwood? Other big players available to me are Homa, in Morikawa, Burns, but want to save them. Yeah. So I think who you just pointed out, Rose and Fleetwood, are likely to be the 2 most popular golfers on the slate. It's okay because you are in the money, right? Or just inside the money. So you're probably inside the top 10 or top 15%, something like that. And I would probably go with Tommy Fleetwood. I love this stat profile. I pointed this out on Monday. I'll just point it out again for those of you who missed it. To be gaining strokes in all 4 major categories for 3 straight events is very, very difficult to do. You do not see this often. The other thing is, Tommy's not a super long hitter. Colonial should reward the best parts of his game, and he also shouldn't play himself out of it because of how well-rounded he is. And you look at those other fields, RBC Heritage, Wells Fargo PGA, those are 3 top 20s. This is a much weaker field than that. So Tommy Ladd would be my selection for you, Jason. Do you have a way to identify players that play better on courses in which drawing the ball finds benefits, and is Michael Block a paid actor who is terrible at acting? So one, Craig, so I don't think we're quite there yet, but I think we're getting a lot closer than we've ever been about the PGA Tour sending us data of ball flight. So now I believe it's available on every tee box. So those, we will soon be at a place to dive further into that. The Michael Block stuff, I'm sure you guys might be tired of it at this point. You've heard every angle of it at this point. I'll just give you the Michael Block take here. So it was pretty crazy last week. He was getting the chance everywhere. We had him on CBS. We interviewed him after Friday's round and was very excited to even be playing the weekend. And then, of course, to go out and do what he does on the weekend, play with Rory, make an ace, all that stuff. It was absolutely crazy. There is nobody who has done more media than this guy. No Masters champion, no Brooks Koepka. Like, he has been on every show everywhere since we had him on after he made the cut. Like, he has just absolutely been everywhere. This guy's got to be exhausted, right? Also doesn't help that he gained 6 strokes putting. Also doesn't help that he made an ace. That's not going to happen again. If Michael Block makes the cut this week, I would be fairly stunned and I'd be impressed. I do not think that's going to happen. Oliver says, hey, Rick, in honor of Mark's national anthem picks, I have a nationality question. Who are your top Canadian, Korean, and Australian players? Okay, so I'd have to kind of look through the field a little bit here. Off the top of my head, Cam Davis would be the top Australian, right? So I put this in my email rundown that I send out every single week. And what I wanted to do is I wanted to look at Cam Davis, basically, so if you were paying attention, like Cam Davis had that five tournament stretch where he missed 5 straight cuts, but like around that for the last year, he's been really, really good. And he told us he was sick during this period or an illness. He just wasn't feeling himself. So what I did is I removed the 10 worst rounds for everyone, right? Because if I remove them for Cam Davis, I've got to remove them for everybody else. So I took the last year and removed the worst 10 rounds for everybody in this field. And what it comes out to be is Cam Davis is the 13th best player in this field, right? And it is better than, I think he was better than Rickie Fowler, better than, you can see the names, Sam Burns, better than Denny McCarthy, better than Brendan Todd, just a little bit worse than Jordan Spieth, a little bit worse than Collin Morikawa. So he's been playing really, really great golf. So that would be one there. Top Korean. So we've got Sung Jae in the field. We've got Siwoo in the field. We've got Ben An in the field. We've got, I'm probably missing some, but I'm just kind of scrolling through to see how quickly I can identify. I don't think it's a Ben An spot. I wouldn't mind a Siwoo spot, quite honestly. He has not been good. Actually, I take that back. I think it's Sung Jae, and I'm sure he's the favorite, but really awkward miscut last week. Very rare for him. Siwoo's never been able to figure out this golf course, and Ben An bombs it without regard for accuracy, which is going to be difficult this week. And then Canadian, boy, what's Nick Taylor been up to? All right, let's just dive into the Nick Taylor stuff. He's in this field, right? Yeah, he is. So missed the cut at the PGA on the number, no problem there. Finished runner-up at the Zurich. I would not mind taking a stab at Nick Taylor, right? Pretty well-rounded. He's been playing great golf this year. Hasn't blinked when he's gotten in contention. I'd probably go there. Norman's stats seem to pop, but is he a good fit for this course? Vegas odds seem to imply no. Well, I think the Vegas odds are very much in line with just like this guy's never really done much, right? Has he contended? Kind of. He drives the ball a mile, which you could argue is good or bad here. Now he does spray it, which I worry about, right? 137th in driving accuracy. Now, the other thing that I like to look at when you have, so 2 things. So when you play a golf course, it's a little bit more positional and everybody's kind of playing to the same spots. And you're a long hitter who sprays it. I also like to look at their approach play because you have to think they are going to be clubbing down a little bit. And if they are good on approach, they can generally be precise with those shots. So that's the way that I look at it. Unfortunately, Norman is wild off the tee and he's not particularly great on approach, which is a little bit concerning. He's been better as of late, but a longer term view is not particularly great for him. So while I love Norman's upside, we'll probably just catch up with him a little bit further down the road. Here's a much better fit. A question about Andrew Putnam. And I would lump your guys like Putnam, your guys like Brendan Todd, all into kind of a similar category, which is there are only 5 or 6 events a year in which they're likely to find success. I do think Waialae is a pretty good comp to Colonial, finished T4 there. Being accurate, being able to dial in those second shots and get hot with the putter, that's the story around here. The other thing that I like about Brendan Todd, and one of the things that we don't talk about enough, if there is a perceived good course fit for a guy, did that guy play to it, right? That's kind of the second part. It's something we need to do a better job of. So you look at pretty good course comps for this place. Pebble Beach, runner-up finish there. He's got a bunch of these, top 25s and stuff. He makes the cut at the RBC Heritage T51 there. And then he kind of gets blown out of the water at some of these places that are clearly not good spots for him. So I think Brendan Todd, along with Andrew Putnam, kind of play a little bit to their, their course fits. Okay. Yo, Rick, which rangefinder did you end up picking for yourself? Yeah. So this is a question that stems off of this. So I've got this here. I picked the winner. It's about ready to ship out. This is the pinned rangefinder I gave out last week. I don't want to give out the guy's name or email address, but I did include in the newsletter for this week, the email that I sent him. He goes by, he just goes by Bleemy, I think is safe to say. So that's who won this one. So congratulations. So yeah, the reason I had this is because I did rangefinder testing. And this one was fine. I liked it. I liked the display of it. It has a big display, but I ended up going with the Precision Pro, not the new one, not the NX10. I think it's the NX9, which I love. It's got the magnet on it. I found it to be a little bit easier to, for me to connect to the flag. But like when other people tried that pinned one, they didn't have any problems. So I don't know. Maybe it was just me, but I thought it was a little bit easier to hit the flag with the Precision Pro. That's where I ended up going. Curious about who you followed the most last weekend other than Victor. Yeah, so saw a lot of Victor, saw a lot of Brooks. Obviously, walked basically every hole with them on Sunday. Saturday, the wet and rainy day, was a lot of so early was Rahm and Cam Smith. Watched them play for quite a while. Then caught up with Victor's group. He was with oh god, I cannot remember who he was with on Saturday. Thursday and Friday, I kind of got caught up in the Phil vortex for a little bit. So my plan on Thursday afternoon was to go and watch Xander, DJ, and Hatton, I think was the group maybe. And I was walking up number 1 to get to number 2, which is where they were. And I saw it was Phil, Rickie, and somebody else. And I was like, you know what? I haven't seen Rickie play in a while. Phil, I haven't seen play in a while. Let me get sucked into this vortex. And I followed them around for a while. So pretty good. Where do you fall on the Brooks Rory debate that has been gaining ground now, that especially since Brooks has 5 majors since Rory's last? Yeah, it's pretty hard to argue with, right? I mean, one of them is, by far smashing major championships, and the other is winning PGA Tour events but not finding majors and winning the FedEx Cup and all that stuff. Both are impressive, but in this game, like Rory McIlroy would trade his resume or his last 8 years for Brooks Koepka's, obviously, which I don't think is, I think that's pretty obvious. So as far as major championship goes, Brooks is that guy. I'll tell you what, I watch Brooks a lot. I've never seen a golf ball go as high as fast. Like the ball looks like it is a rocket ship off of his club face. It's unbelievable stuff. All right. 3 plays at 6,500 and below on DraftKings. So already mentioned Carson Young. So just to put a bow on Carson Young, he's $6,300. You've probably heard by now, but he boat raced everybody at US Open qualifying and he won it by 5 shots. He got in to the US Open. It was the same qualifier that Sergio got in. Brent Grant got in. Paul Haley got in. Maybe a couple other guys. But even before that, he was proving to be one of the hotter guys on the planet. So this is the strokes gained, or this is the trends tool, which shows you how hot golfers are or how cold they are. And if you sort by strokes gained total in terms of heat, Carson Young is playing, basically 2/3 of a stroke better than his 100 round baseline in the last 36. And he's doing it in all the best ways. He's doing it via the tee to green play. So this is really impressive. He's raised his baseline quite a bit as of late. And then he obviously gets that really big boost from the US Open qualifier. So he is certainly one. There was somebody else. Is Dylan Wu 60, 66? So that doesn't count. So, okay. So Carson Young would be one. Let's see what else we have here. Not super stoked about. I'll tell you what, it's kind of an Adam Long spot. And Adam Long's another guy who plays well at courses he should. So you see he's got 2 top 20s in the last 4 trips, 3 top 35s. This is like an accurate, he's very accurate off the tee, very short. So I think he would probably make the list. And then the third one, it's a pretty good question. Maybe we just run it back to Jimmy Walker. We knew Oak Hill. I almost called it Oat Hill. Was going to be a horrible spot for him. This is a much better spot for him, and he's been playing decent golf. So those would probably be the 3, although I think Carson Young kind of stands in a spot by himself there. Hey, Rick, appreciate all the hard work. Thank you, Matt. Can we get a weather update, a deep dive on Eric Cole? Yeah, so I'll give you the weather update. I don't think it's anything too noteworthy or actionable. Here's Thursday through Friday. There's basically a 10 to 15% chance of rain all week, which is kind of that summer in Texas. Both days are going to be mid to high 80s, all good there. And then you look at the wind, and you've got, basically no wind all day Thursday, and then maybe a tiny bit of 5 to 7 miles an hour on Friday afternoon. So I would not say this is super actionable. In terms of a deep dive on Eric Cole, somebody I really like, and I actually did get to follow Eric Cole a bit last week. So remember when play stopped, he was on Thursday, because we had a frost delay. He was the leader. He was 5 under par. And I cannot tell you how difficult it is to resume on Friday morning and have to play the 6th hole as your first hole back. The sixth hole was the hardest hole on the course. It was one of the hardest holes in PGA Championship history. Scotty Scheffler called it the hardest hole he's ever played. So to play that at 7:00 in the morning on Friday is crazy. He makes double. But he guts it out after that and finishes T15. Look at the tee to green numbers. 8.7 at the PGA, 7.7 at the Byron Nelson. He has lost strokes tee to green once since Pebble Beach. We know he can pop. I love the way Eric Cole sets up for this place. I got to admit. I really do. I really do like the way he sets up for it. You like Tommy this week in one and done? You like Tommy? Sorry. You like Tommy to win this week, but didn't pick him in one and done in Golf Digest or the first cut. Already used him or saving another event. So there's a lot here. So that Golf Digest article that I write. So like when I pick Tommy to win, rarely am I also going to write him up for one and done, right? The idea of that, yes, while we're keeping track of everything and we're hope like it is an informational educational piece, or at least that's the way that I view it. So it's pretty rare that I would pick the same golfer twice. It's the same reason why I wouldn't do Tommy Fleetwood to win, Tommy Fleetwood to top 10, Tommy Fleetwood in a matchup, Tommy Fleetwood for one and done. It's like, it's an entertainment piece, right? Or an educational piece. So you're rarely going to see me do that. As far as the first cut goes, I picked Tommy, didn't I? Did I not pick Tommy in that? I'm almost certain I did, but I'm likely rolling out Tommy and Rose in most one and dones. And if I'm further back, that's where you'll see me run out like Cam Davis and guys of that ilk. Great to meet you last week. You as well, Andrew. Do you think the PGA comes back to Oak Hill in the future? I think we all like the course, cons, New York weather in May. And then a one and done question here about Cam Davis, Todd, Rose, or another. You're in the top 10. That's pretty close. I don't think it would be Todd. I think it's either Rose or Davis there. Don't mind either. Yes, I think they'll go back to Oak Hill. Now, I mean, what are we're already 10 years out on PGA Championship spots, something like that. So it's not going to be any sooner than that. The weather in May is a problem, right? And I'll tell you what, the golf course really stood up to the rain on Saturday. It was great. Did a hell of a job. We didn't even have to stop play at any point. But that I don't think the PGA of America wants, one day 75 and sunny, the next 52 and pouring rain, then 75. Like, I just don't think they want that for a lot of reasons. So it's going to be really difficult in the May version of this. Who's on your betting card for this week? So yeah, here's the, disclaimer that I'm constantly putting out there. Like, don't bet these guys because I'm betting these guys. Go bet who you want and spend your money that you want. I bet 4 guys this week. Fleetwood at 28-1, Cam Davis at 40, Eric Cole at 90, and Matthew NeSmith at 140. If you follow anything that I've said or done this week, that should be absolutely no surprise to you. The NeSmith stuff is really exciting. I'm showing you the stat profile right now. And you talk about guys who are coming out of slumps, right? So Cam Davis had that little slump. NeSmith was a little bit more extended of a slump. But if he is back to this version of himself, which is basically the way that he played the entirety of 2022, is he going to win? Probably not. Do I get a couple of hedging options? Maybe. Do I just go out and probably bet him as top 20 as well? Yeah, probably, because 140-1, he's probably not going to win. But this is an investment in this great stat profile and going to a golf course that should be a pretty decent setup for him. So those are the 4 I went with. Is Tommy the move in one and done if I'm front running? I believe to be yes. Have you warmed or cooled on Tony since Monday? People seem low on him around the industry, which gets me excited. I think I've been pretty indifferent on Tony all week long. Looking at his stats, he didn't drive it well at Oak Hill, which is pretty rare. He lost on approach, and the most he lost on approach for since May of 2022. So that's probably not going to happen again. And he didn't putt well, which is certainly in his range of outcomes. So I believe you're going to get a pretty statistical ball striking bounce back. And the other thing is, if you look at his history around this place, it's awesome, right? 4 top 25s in a row, 2 of them being top 4 finishes. So I don't know if I've warmed or cooled, but I think I've just been like a solid 6.5 out of 10, probably a bounce back coming, and hope it's good enough, and hope he putts well enough to contend. I'm first in a 50-man one and done. I still have Scotty and Rom left. You are doing great work then. Should I go ahead and use Spieth here, or is it a better spot to save him? I think so. I'll pull up his stat profile, but I think there's so many good spots you're going to be able to use Spieth, right? And using Spieth in an elevated event feels a little bit better. I know that do we have any lingering risk concerns? I guess the answer is no. He drove it beautifully last week. I don't mind it. I think it's a little bit of a reach. Quite honestly, I would probably save him for, an Open Championship, Travelers, if he's going to play I don't know if he's committed to Travelers yet. Is he going there? I would probably save him and use like Fleetwood or Rose if I were you. Great stuff. Great stuff last week. For this week, who's your guy? So I was supposed to say long shot one and done pick, your favorite long shot to make top 10 and best bet. So I'm not sure I understand this question. I would say, give me Cam Davis as like the longer shot guy to play well. I think I've talked about that a lot. And then my best bet would be like Neesmith top 40, something like that. I'm in 9th out of 14, one and done with friends. Who this week would give me the best chance to make up some ground? Fleetwood, Rose, Im, Spieth, Burns, or Homa? Probably Im is probably the answer to that question. Or I guess Burns. I don't know. Are your friends paying attention? Do your friends know who the defending champion is? It's probably Sungjae. Hi, Rick. Love your content. I'm currently second in the run and done, and the only elite player I have left here is Morikawa. Should I use him or save him for later or use Rose? I think you should save Morikawa. I think he looks... This is one of the more bizarre kind of situations and stat profiles that we've seen. Morikawa has not had win luck, right? He's having a great approach season. He's kind of doing what he did for the first couple of years of his career, but he's like not had a lot of win luck. I saw him last week at Oak Hill, and I thought it was like, okay. I didn't think it was great. I thought he hit a lot of whiffs, quite honestly. Even Morikawa, though, like hitting something off the toe or off the heel, it's still a pretty good shot, but you can tell he wiped it, right? You could tell the reaction's not there. He just is not flushing it. So I would probably wait a little bit longer for Collin, especially for that with that position that you're in. Let's go. Throwing a curveball early. Thoughts on Caleb Surratt this week at my hometown event, the Visit Knox Open. Okay. So he doesn't have his card, does he? I only have 3 events for him. Miscut at Farmers, Miscut at the American Express, T65 in Bermuda. If you go to the power rankings, though, and I don't know if he's going to show up because he doesn't have many rounds, I do have the Corn Ferry Tour event loaded in, Euro Tour event, Live event, Senior event, and the PGA Tour event. So let's see if we can find your buddy here or your hometown boy. Caleb. I'm not even sure I think I only have 8 rounds on him. So let me lower the minimum here. Yeah, I have 9 rounds on him. Losing a stroke. 1.3 strokes per. I mean, he's got to be playing somewhere, right? If he's $9,000. Where is he playing at? Didn't he just turn pro? Am I confusing him with somebody else? I wish I had a better answer for you. I do not have a better answer for you. To Spieth or not to Spieth? All right. Well, I can pull that back up, but just to be clear, I don't believe that I have any risk concerns. I think he was 3rd or 4th in strokes gained off the tee last week. Ball striking was great. Short game and putter let him down a little bit. So I would say it is to Spieth. During the call, inviting Block this week, he said the course sets up well for him. Any data to back this up? Thoughts on pulling a top 20 this week? I do not think Michael Block is going to finish inside the top 20 this week. I think if he does, he has sold his soul to the devil. But I do not think he is going to make the cut this week. I don't know why he thinks this place would be a good spot for him. He doesn't drive it particularly well. I mean, the numbers speak for themselves. He's got limited action over the course of the last handful of years. I think it's 24 or 25 PGA Tour events, but I don't I don't know why he thinks the play sets up well for him. I don't think he's going to have a good week. Seeing a lot of Vic was in contention. He'll let you down here. Yeah, it was a lot, but it's not like he's dealing with extra media. I don't think he expects to just come in here and lay down. No, Victor shows up at places and generally is able to reset pretty quickly and is able to just kind of move on and play good golf. I don't think that's a real thing. I wouldn't be too worried about it. The game is super sharp right now. I talked about this a lot earlier this week, or maybe I talked about it on the first cut, but I'll just give you the quick update. He's flushing it, obviously. 10.6 strokes on approach at the PGA Championship is the most of his career. He lost a stroke alone on Sunday out of the fairway bunker on 16, which I was 5 feet away from, and it was a pretty bad lie. I don't know if that's been discussed enough. There was a clump of sand right behind his ball. Ball was below his feet. Corey Connors did the same thing with a much better lie. So really unfortunate. And he has a lot better. His short game he's got new shots now. Did you see that like low 3-hop spinny thing he hits out of the bunker now? It's sick. That shot was not in his arsenal a couple months ago. A couple other shots that he's putting in the bag. I'm not worried about him at all. Is Taylor Moore a good idea? I believe him to be. You know, I try not to judge, especially these young guys, too harshly on major championships. And Taylor Moore has been playing great golf. This was his second major last week, the PGA Championship. And, you know, to lose strokes off the tee for the first time since Genesis, I don't care. Lose strokes on approach for the first time since API, I don't really care. It's different. And let me tell you, I think he ejected on, I guess I could just look it up. Strokes gained by round. Taylor Moore. I'm pretty sure he ejected on Saturday. Let me just confirm that. Yeah. I mean, on the weekend in general, but he lost 5.3 strokes on Saturday and another 3.3 on Sunday. Saturday was ridiculous. It was ridiculous. I don't think I've seen them play through consistent rain like that before. It was really, really bad. A request for a deep dive on JT Poston. Surely. Let's do it. T40 at the PGA Championship. Metrics look generally positive. When he misses cuts, he misses them basically on the number. Can get hot in the right play. I mean, this is okay. Like 6.5 out of 10, right? 7 out of 10. I don't think I'm sprinting to get access to JT Poston. We'll look at his history around this place. But I mean, he's missed 2 cuts in a row, finished T10 before that, missed cut, T20. It's fine. It's above average, but I don't think it's anything spectacular. Why the F is Block not in a featured group? I thought he was in a featured group, wasn't he? I might be just like my brain is mush at this point of the week, and traveling back on Monday was crazy, but I thought Block was in a featured group. I think he is with Minwoo and Pearson Cootie. I'm pretty sure he's in a featured group. 11:28 a.m. Pacific, so that's what, an afternoon tee time. That's 2:28 p.m. Eastern time. Pretty sure that's a featured group. Yeah, it is. Yeah, because the other ones are Finau, Sungjae, Morikawa, and then Fleetwood, Rickie, Hoagie, Kirk, Rose, Spieth, Scotty, Burns, Riley, and that's it. He is a featured group. Cam Davis and Jordan Spieth scare the crap out of me. Prove me wrong. No, they're pretty wild guys. But embrace the crap being scared out of you. Is Dylan Wu a mispriced this week? And is the ownership out of hand on a 6K guy? So yeah, we haven't really talked about ownership as of late, but so Dylan Wu is, I have him at like 4% right now. I actually have Austin Eckroat being twice his own. Now, Eckroat also got through that US Open qualifier on, I guess it was on Monday or Tuesday, and he's coming off the runner-up finish. Like, I get that. The Dylan Wu mispriced thing, or, you know, is he mispriced? It's an interesting question. I mean, look at how well he's played. He miscut the Byron Nelson on the number and did it in absolutely Wu fashion, like no problem. T15 at Mexico, T21 at the Byron at the Wells Fargo. Bunch of made cuts before that. His game is rounding into form. If we go to the power rankings and look at everybody in this field for the last, I don't know, 40 rounds. Like, is that enough? Am I going to get, like, where's Dylan Wu going to be? He's 16th best player in the field in the last 40 rounds is $6,600. I think it's a misprice. There are 3 Scotts, 3 Kims, 3 Sams, and 4 Bens in the field. So who's the producer's pick? That's my wife. She is actually going with Max Homa. She told me. Yeah. She pivoted off Russell Henley, by the way, though. So I don't know what that means. She's never pivoted like that before. She said, it's Russell Henley. No. Actually, I'm picking Max Homa. Seems a little scary. Would love to see a new model. All right. That's fair. I cannot. Monday was a blur. I did it in a hotel room. I cannot even remember what I would have put in. By the way, this is the custom model on RickRunGood.com. There are currently 7 different slates loaded in here for this week. And of course, it's taking forever to load, just as I say that, because I've got my screen recorder up. Once I put the screen recorder on, my entire computer wants to throw a hizzy fit. There we go. All right. What are we going to do? Let's do accuracy. Driving. Let's do good drives. 15 on good drives. Let's do approach play. Let's do strokes gained approach. Last 36 for 15. Around the green for 5. Last 50. Putting, let's go a little shorter term. Last 24 for 5. And then I'll also throw a little bit of putting on bent in there. Okay. We'll do short courses and hard courses. 8 on hard, 8 on short. We'll do a little bit of course history. 6 on Colonial. 5 on Harbor Town. I think I did do these earlier this week. And 5 on Waialae. I got 23 left. Let's do bogey avoidance for 10. Birdie or better gain for 10. And 3 on fantasy points gained. My number 1 golfer, oh boy, Jordan Spieth. Spieth, Scotty, Rose, Finau, Morikawa, Sungjae, Chris Kirk, Russell Henley. Armina should have rolled with him. Oh, Homa's 9. Ben Martin. So let's point out a couple outliers here. Big boost for Ben Martin, who's 6,800 and a 10th. Chris Kirk, 9,100 and 7th. Rose, 9,300 and 3rd. Some knocks would be like Finau slightly worse than his price. Homa is 9th, but he's 10,100. Victor is 10,600, but he's 12th. I'm trying to see if there's just anybody else that, like Ches. This is a good week for Ches Reavie, by the way. Eric Cole is 18th. Pretty sick. My core for GPP DFS is Scheffler, Finau, Poston. Any critiques? No. If that's what you want to do, that's what you want to do. Which player is the best course history? All right, so if you go to the Holy Grail, fire this up by tournament, search everybody in this field dating back forever. We could do Colonial, hold Control, or Command on a Mac. If you need to select multiple, sort by strokes gained total, and you'll find out that anybody with this real sample size is chasing down Jordan Spieth. 40 rounds, 2.4 strokes gained per round. Tony Finau, 28 rounds, 1.58. Morikawa is in the middle there, but he's only got 12 rounds. Victor's in there as well, but he's only got 8 rounds. Harris English, Zach Johnson, Kevin Kisner, Justin Rose, Brian Harmon, of the guys who are over 1 stroke per round and over 20 rounds played here. So this is like, you know, we talk about the ultimate course horse. That's kind of what this is for Jordan Spieth, right? You know, it's like Rory at Quail Hollow, and it used to be Hideki in Phoenix, and honestly, Jordan at Pebble, and Jordan at Augusta, and Rory at Eastlake, and apologies, I'm still very jet lagged. This is like an ultimate. When you get to 2.4 strokes gained per round over that many rounds at a single golf tournament, that's top end stuff. Thoughts on Ben Martin? He just graded very highly in my custom model. In general, does Fleetwood make enough birdies to win a birdie fest? What is the reason you think this is going to be a birdie fest? Because the conditions will be pretty good? I think that's fair. I mean, there's probably going to be no wind and little rain, but Colonial can bite back at times, right? You got the horrible horseshoe. The winning score doesn't always get out of hand. So I don't know. I think I would take more umbrage with the fact that you think this is going to be a birdie fest. It might be, but Colonial's pretty tough. Any reason to worry on Homa? No, I think Homa's actually a pretty good, like, sneaky guy here. I think like he hasn't been great. T43 at the Masters, miscut at the RBC Heritage, miscut at the Zurich. I don't care about the Zurich one. Played better at Quail, played okay at the PGA Championship, made the cut, T55, whatever. I think for guys like Homa, you don't need a lot of form coming in, right? Like he's probably a top 10 player in the world. He's like definitely a top 5 player in this field. So I'm not as worried. And he's like, once you get past Scotty, Rahm, and maybe Rory, like who wins as much as Homa does? Homa wins a lot or has won a lot in the last couple of years. So I don't mind just not having form, getting a pretty good price on him and rocking with Homa. He's like 8% owned. It's pretty sick. Hey, Rick, any cold players on your trend graph that would be a good fit here and have a breakout? So that's this one. So upper left-hand quadrant is where you want to be, guys that are hitting it well and putting below their baseline. When I look at those names and start looking at guys that might be a pretty good fit, okay, I want to deep dive Sep Straka in a second, but I mean, God, I love Eric Cole. Bo Hosser would be pretty good. I'm just trying to find somebody who might be like like Lingmerth. Honestly, he's not very long, but he's accurate. Can I do a deep dive on Sep real quick? Shoots a 65 round of the week on Sunday around I keep wanting to calling it Oak Hill. Gains 10 strokes on approach. Plays difficult golf courses pretty well. Won the Honda. Did he win the Honda? Yeah, he won the Honda last year. Then this year he finished T5. Got my years mixed up. Would not mind Sep Straka here. How much is he? Can't be very expensive. $7,000, 5% projected ownership. Isn't Spieth, besides his wrist, the best course fit even over Scheffler? So kind of two things here, Robert. Course fit and course history to me are different. Course history, Spieth is the best. He's actually done it. He's played it. Course fit is more like on paper, do your skills overlay with what should be expected for success. So like this is the model for success historically at Colonial. So you take these metrics and how guys have been playing, and Scheffler is the best fit, but Spieth has by far the best history, right? And Spieth's fit is good. It's 6th in this field. It's phenomenal. So it's Scotty Scheffler, Rickie Fowler, Max Homa, Sung J M, Brandon Todd, Jordan Spieth, Taylor Moore. So 2 different things there. But Spieth is the best course history, and it's not even particularly close. What's your Whoop number at? Did you finally get to double digits? Yeah. I'm still in the yellow, though. So I am right now, and I love my Whoop. I'm not paid to say that. Although I would be interested in being paid to say that. I'm at 48% right now. 48% recovery right now, which is up from 7% yesterday. But this week, I've not been better than 61. I'm hurting right now. My sleep's been tough. I'm getting back on track. I think tomorrow I'll be ready to rock and roll, but I am at a sleep deficit. I got the jet lag issues. I'm hurting right now. Can you let Armina Rungood do a live chat one day and give her insight on golfers? She can do it, or she can do it right now. I don't know if she wants to get on camera and answer questions for an hour. I doubt it, but she did do a podcast with me in studio at the Wynn at the beginning of the year. Maybe that was. She's a natural, but I don't think she likes it. She just texted me and said nope. So I don't think that's gonna happen. Worried about Sam Burns' 2 missed cuts. Man, I think in general I am just kind of worried about Burns. So this is a bigger, like, this goes back further for Sam Burns. This goes back to Riv. Remember when, so his driver failed the hot test at Riviera, and he had to put a new driver in the bag, and it took him a while to figure it out. Now, he did obviously level up, and he wins the match play. Now, I'm not going to take any wins away from anybody, and match play is really difficult and weird, but he gained 10 strokes putting at the match play. didn't hit it all that well. He lost strokes ball striking. And then he kind of figured it out a little bit. Then we got the miscut to Wells Fargo and a really, really ugly miscut to PGA. I think he's still, I don't know anything, but I think he's still kind of working through equipment stuff and swing stuff. And it's just too much for me. Maybe he finds the magic and comes back to Colonial and wins. Cool. Then hat tip to you. You figured it out. I just don't think I'll be a part of it. It says, can you talk Henley to me? So here's Russell Henley. PGA Championship, he missed the cut, but he did it in the best way possible. He gained 3.7 strokes on approach, lost 3.5 with the putter. That's fine. Because actually he'd been a better putter as of late, which is pretty surprising because he's a pretty doo-doo putter. Putted well at the match play, putted well at the Masters, putted well at RBC Heritage T19 at Harbour Town, which is a good course comp. I'll tell you what, it's not bad. I'm not like a Russell Henley guy, but $8,800, 10% owned. Pretty decent stat profile. If he bounces back with the putter, the rest of it looks pretty good. Should be one of the better course fits for him because it's not going to require a lot of distance, but it's going to require a lot of precision. He hasn't played here since 2018. Sure, let's go. Russell Henley's fine. That's fine. Nah, Brett got me. Do we have Brooks's distance per shot from the PGA? I'm sure it was magnificent. Thoughts on Rickie? Yeah, Rickie. So Rickie modeled well in a couple of places. He modeled well on the course fit. He modeled well on the custom model. He drove it well last week. He missed the cut on the number at a major championship where he had his worst putting week of the year, basically, and a below average approach week. There is a pretty clear path to seeing a Rickie bounce back. Like, pretty damn clear path to him bouncing back. He's played here a lot. Success has been all over the place. The years he was struggling, he struggled here as well. But T14 in 2018, T15 in 2012, he's played here a ton. So no problem with Rickie. Rick, where can I get raw strokes gain data to use in a golf model? So strokes gain total, you can calculate yourself from box scores and stuff. Getting it from the PGA Tour is probably going to be very difficult. It's not an open API. They have a program invite only that I'm a part of. So Jeff, unfortunately, the answer is you're probably not going to get it, just to be straight with you. I wish there was an open program. I wish there was better access to it. You think about, other sports and data providers. Other sports have a lot of data providers because they can sit an intern in front of a television and have them chart every shot, every play, and that builds the database. You can't do that in golf. There's too many shots going on at one time. You need the lasers. Not everything is on TV. So unfortunately, Jeff, I'm not super optimistic about your chances there. Was the 6th at Oak Hill the toughest hole we have seen this year? Season-long fantasy question, which 3 seasons? All right, let me cover 2 of those. So I'm actually really proud of myself. So you guys know, I'm starting to work with more players a little bit, and to get out on the golf course and scout it both on online and then when I got there like Monday and Tuesday. So when I was looking at it online, I was looking at number 6 and I'm like, this is going to be brutal. It's long. There is a creek up the right that bends in further than you think. Then it loops around and that same creek is in play on the left on your second shot. So you can't have even a one-way miss because you'll find the creek on one of those 2 shots. It's long. You have to hit a strong drive and a strong second shot. So I was already like, this is tough. When I got out there on Tuesday, I got to the 6th hole and I was like, this is the hardest hole I've ever seen. And Tuesday was perfect conditions. And I watched Cam Smith hit one into the water. I watched Billy Horschel hit one into the water. I watched David Micheluzzi. We thought he hit a perfect shot from the tee. It was this far away from the water. And I'm like, this is mental warfare, the way that you have to aim on this. And then the second shot, you have got to hit just a perfect ball. So I was proud of myself for correctly assessing. I was like, this is going to be the hardest hole on the golf course. 6 and 7 are going to be absolute brutes. 7 is hard too. And they ended up playing out that way. And I was pretty proud of myself. Season-long fantasy question. Which 3 golfers would you lean towards? Jaeger, Palmer, Shelton, Lashley, KH Lee. It'd be Jaeger, Lashley, and the other ones kind of stink. KH Lee, probably. Oh, Tyler, sorry. I thought that was an assumption. So Tyler says, didn't hear you say Vic on your card. You not betting him this week. Yes, I bet him every week. He tees it up. So that is obvious. Sorry. I thought that was known. Aaron Rye. Question about Aaron Rye here about being a good pivot. He hasn't been playing well, but he is one of the more accurate drivers. Any signs he could turn it around? Let's look together. These missed cuts aren't super horrible, right? Because they're pretty on brand for him. He's always been a bad putter. Misses the cut on the number at the Wells Fargo. Gains in the ball striking categories. Actually gained from tee to green. He's actually gained tee to green every event back to Farmers. So you're kind of just wondering, is he going to strike it well enough, or is he going to be able to avoid this massive down putting week? There's not a lot of evidence to say that he's like trending in the right direction. He's played here once. It was last year. It wasn't good. Like a 5 out of 10, 4.5 out of 10. I don't think it's great. How bad is Billy Ho recently? Walked 9 with Billy on Tuesday. In good spirits, just not striking it well. You know, long games kind of all over the place. Sprayed a couple. Didn't catch a lot solid. He knows it. Everybody knows it. I mean, he's working through some stuff. Yeah, he hasn't been good. What's the one and done ownership looking? Oh, one and done ownership. Okay, site-wide ownership looking. So you can get this on officefootballpool.com. Pull it up real quick. So site-wide, Justin Rose is the most popular golfer, about 19%. Tommy Fleetwood, 11%. Spieth, 10%. Cam Davis at 8%. Kitayama and Burns at 6%. Finau at 5%. Sungjae at 5%. Everybody else below that. So Fleetwood and Rose catching a lot of the steam there. Pop 6870. Rick, great job as usual. Thank you. Push the like button. Appreciate it. Is Sam Stevens a good fit? Well, you obviously have the narrative that he's a Fort Worth guy for whatever that means, which, you know, whatever. He got into the PGA Championship late and made the cut. I thought that was pretty impressive, right? He got in like Wednesday night. I think he was like the first alternate or second alternate. He gets in late, makes the cut, doesn't have a very good weekend. Outside of that, he's played a lot of great golf, a lot of good ball striking numbers. I like what he's done in Texas, right? T34 at the Byron Nelson, where he gained 8 strokes ball striking. Runner up at the Texas Open, where he gained 10.5 strokes ball striking. You think, like, is there a, what's that word that I can't think of right now? What's the word for grass? Not ergonomics. Agronomy? Jeez, sorry. Is there an agronomy thing here with Sam Stevens where his best ball striking weeks are in Texas where he grew up? Maybe that's a thing. I think he's a pretty solid option this week. I did not eat a garbage plate, and I will not eat a garbage plate. It's sickening. You guys are sick. Did you see? Okay, so by the way, I just got the alert on my watch. Minwoo and Ryan Fox just accepted special temporary membership, which is pretty cool. So that means they get unlimited sponsors invites for the rest of the year. So they have to be extended sponsors invites, but they can accept as many as they can, and then they'll be members next year. It's the Will Zalatoris thing. So pretty cool. Philly Joe says, this is a tough course. I thought it was fairly easy every year. So no, they haven't made changes. They're actually making changes. This is the last year before I think Gil Hans is going to do a redesign. So much needed, but no, I mean, for par 70s and par 72, I mean, last year 9 under won it. Yeah, I mean, we have like 14 under, 15 under, 13 under the last couple of years, that's definitely at least medium in terms of PGA Tour scoring, you know, not getting into the 20 under par. Rose got to 20, but he won by 3 shots in 18, but Kevin Kisner was only at 10 under in 17. So it's pretty dependent on wind, like how hard it's going to play. But the horrible horseshoe, which is what, 2, 3, 4 or 3, 4, 5, like that's going to play difficult. So it's not going to, I don't think it's going to, like, by tour standards, this definitely skews on the harder side of things. Who are the projections showing? So the 5 highest owned guys on DraftKings. So I show Scotty at 38%, Sungjae at 22%, Victor and Spieth at 18%, Fowler at 17%, Rose at 16%, Tommy at 16%, nobody else over 15%. Tuned in late, so not sure what you've covered with Spieth. Read the PGA transcript from the presser, which I did not see. Seems to me like doctors advise he shut it down if the risk flares up at all. Seems risky, WD. No, I guess, but it would have been the same thing for last week, right? And he played 4 rounds and played well. So I don't know, unless I'm getting the timing of that wrong. But Hoagie mind games with this place. Yeah, agreed. Right. So Hoagie, who on paper should be a good spot. Hoagie, who went to TCU, so he shouldn't have many issues like knowing the area, knowing the course, has not been able to figure this place out. Just has absolutely not been able to figure this place out. 3 cuts in a row, T40, T42 before that. 17th is his best finish. It was 17 years ago. Just cannot figure this place out. Hey, Rick, can we see strokes gain distribution for 4+ and 5+? Yep. Go to the power rankings, go to strokes gain distribution. I'll just leave it on the last 40 rounds. 5 or more strokes gained per round, Akshay and Scotty. Victor, then Chris Kurt Kitayama, and Sam Stevens. That's for 5 or more strokes gained. 4 or more is probably pretty similar. You get an appearance from Minwoo. You get an appearance from Denny McCarthy, from Eric Cole, from Pearson Cootie, but a lot of similar names. And that includes all their rounds, by the way. PGA, Live, Korn Ferry, European Tour, whatever. Rick, who's the one guy you just can't play due to ownership? I don't usually go that route, right? Like if the answer would be Scotty, it would just be like, I'll just be different other places and I'll play Scotty. But I think that I would rather play like I'm not going to play Lucas Herbert at 12%. I'll tell you that for free. I would rather play basically anybody else. You won't see me get to JT Poston at 10%. It just won't happen. But for the most part, I don't really think that way. Will Fratelli be delisted from the tour? Did I miss something? Did he go to Live? Now I'm Googling Dylan Fratelli. This is great. I don't even know what that means. So no. Okay, so this is a pretty good follow-up. So Dave says, forgive me if I'm wrong, but any insight on why Lucas Herbert is gaining steam? The metrics aren't horrible. I mean, they're pretty good, right? So he wins the ISPS Handa. Ball striking numbers or tee degree numbers were good. Very reliant on the short game, which is always a little bit worrisome. Makes the cut at the PGA Championship, made the cut at the RBC Heritage, got out of his group at the match play. So like, I get it. Like if you're running last, 24 rounds or something like that, he's probably going to show up pretty well. And if you cut him some slack for losing 20 strokes to the Players Championship, which he bounced back from very, very quickly, then I get it. I don't like these guys that need to gain 8 strokes with the putter to find themselves on the top of the board. Sam Ryder has popped up a couple times, so I'll loop a couple of these questions together, and we'll just do a deep dive on Sam Ryder. Oh boy, not very good. It hasn't been good since Armina didn't let him use a workout machine in San Diego. It was a real downfall from there. No, I'm just kidding. He was actually good immediately after that. This is pretty worrisome, right? So when Sam's at his best, good iron player, good putter. He's still putting great. But my goodness, has he lost the long game? Hemorrhaging strokes at API, the Players, the Valspar, finds it for a week at the Texas Open. Loser again at the RBC Heritage, and then it's only gotten worse. Wells Fargo was horrible. 7.5 strokes down in the ball striking categories. PGA Championship, 5.6 down in the ball striking categories. That is not good. Look at the running 100 rounds. Missed 3 straight cuts here. I mean, we'll catch you down the road, Sam. Basically a free lunch card. I'll tell you a story that is absolute first world problems. And I understand that. And I'm going to get very little sympathy for this. Speaking of lunch last week at the PGA Championship, we got our media credentials through the broadcast. But we were sitting in the media center. So there's a broadcast compound and there's a media center. we weren't able to eat in the media center because you had to scan your credential, which I've never seen before, scanning your credential to eat. So we could not eat in the media center. And when we had to eat, we had to go to the broadcast compound, which was like 2 miles away. So we had to like walk like 2 miles to eat lunch every single day because we couldn't eat in the media center. I know nobody cares. I know no one's going to feel sorry for me. I don't expect you to. But we had a spot in the media, but couldn't eat there. Didn't have a spot in broadcast, but had to eat there. Tough life. Absolute tough life. Okay. We have covered a lot of these. There's a couple comments I just don't understand. PGA Tour leaderboard showed Mito with FedEx Cup points. Any idea why? Just a mistake? I would assume it's probably a mistake. Did he resign from the tour? There might be a distinction there. I know a lot of guys did, not all of them though. Carson Young. Armina still does need to mail him an apology letter. I agree. And yes, a 2-mile walk. That's like, you know, how big, because it was on the other course. All right. I think that's going to do it. Can we play Taylor Moore this week? Yes. I appreciate you all. I'm excited for this week, but I am excited to get some more sleep and get off of this. It's good to be home. I appreciate everybody. Seriously, thanks for, Oak Hill's awesome, right? Being out on the road's awesome. I was out for 2 weeks and being able to create content that you guys still support from the road and doing it from my laptop. It's much appreciated that you bear with me in those situations. It's obviously good for everybody, for me to be on site and cultivate relationships and stuff like that. So appreciate the patience and any audio issues or video issues that we might have along the way. I think we did a pretty good job, but just thanks to everybody. I will holler at you guys later tonight. We'll do a Jock Market Power Hour, which is going to be pretty sick. Block market. Right. Good luck. Goodbye.